let's start with introductions and then we need to discuss a change to the agenda. So we'll start to my left.
Julie Bonnellan, Fargo Transit.
John Strand, Fargo.
Jennifer Flanagan, Moorhead Finance Director.
Megan Zaratka, Moorhead Finance Manager.
Ben Griffith, MetroCog.
Mike Reeds, Moorhead Assistant City Manager.
Matt Benali, Transit General Manager.
Lee Grittner, Fargo Transit.
Sean Cole, Mobility Manager, MATBUS.
Jordan Smith, City of Fargo Transit.
Susan Thompson, Finance Director, Fargo.
Paul Swinton, City of Fargo Transit. Adam Altenberg, MetroCog.
Aiden Young, MetroCog.
Peyton Master with the City of Dilworth.
Okay, and let's go to our folks online. If you could unmute yourself and introduce yourselves.
Sebastian McDougall, Moorhead City Council.
Jean Henning, Transit Accountant.
Got it? Okay, thank you very much. First, let's start by looking at the agenda. One of the things that we noticed is that, so our budget, which I'm sure will be a big part of our discussion today, is listed as an informational item, but actually, I'm going to pull it up in our interim joint powers agreement. One of the things it states is it's the board, one of our responsibilities is to review and recommend transit budgets for participating jurisdictions and parties. So my understanding is that that would require a vote from the board before it goes on to the partner cities for them to pass, right? And so we would need to take a vote on the budget. If anybody has any other contradictory interpretations of that, but I believe that this would require action. Okay, in which case then what we'll do is we'll move it down because it is very interrelated with action item 3B, the proposed route changes. And so what we'll do is we could move it down we'll move 2A to right with 3B, and we'll sort of work on those simultaneously, okay? And we'll cover the other items first. Any objections to that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Second.
all right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you. And then if we could have a motion on the minutes. So I'm assuming everyone had a chance to look over our minutes from a July 16th meeting. Were there any changes that needed to be made to the meeting minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from July 16th.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving on to our informational items. So we will skip down to 2B, and I'll turn it over to Cole to talk about this month's safety and security report.
Thank you. So as you said, I think that our discussion today will largely be taken up by other items. So let's go through a couple of instances that we've been seeing recently at the Brown Transportation Center in terms of safety and security. Unfortunately, still a lot of the same issues that we have been seeing from previous months' security reports, a decent amount of public intoxication, drug use, disorderly conduct, that sort of thing. We're still working with our partners at Signal Security to ensure that the facility is safe as it can be for passengers, although we do occasionally have to deal with some of the issues that are detailed in here. If anybody would like to speak towards anything specifically, I'm happy to answer as many questions as I can, or if there's any input as to any direction that we should be giving the security staff in terms of trying to mitigate this. We're always looking to get any additional input from outside agencies.
Discussion? Well, have you seen an uptick now that there's been reductions at the Downtown Engagement Center?
I think that's kind of hard for us to tell. I think we mentioned last committee meeting that Signal is going to be tracking and documenting more of the kind of day-to-day instances. So we did see a pretty big jump back in May. I believe they started doing that. So if that's in regards to the downtown engagement center, I'm not entirely sure, but it is, like I said, kind of a lot of the same issues and generally the same individuals that we're dealing with.
Clearly a lot of folks that are unsheltered and dealing with some substance abuse. And is there anything else right now from us that, again, would be beneficial?
I guess not that I'm aware of.
With this effect? Thank you. Okay, then we will move on to our, if there's no questions, we'll move on to our first action item, which is 3A City of Fargo Transit Title VI Civil Rights Program. I'll turn it over to Sean.
Thank you. Every 3 years, we are required to update our Title VI program and take that to City Commission and then ultimately to the FTA. And today we're looking to get a motion to move that ahead, bring it to City Commission and the FTA.
And everybody had the information in their packet. Is there any questions or comments?
I should say this is a summary of the Title VI plan, like the actual one is like 500 to 600 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And that full plan will be brought to City Commission.
Okay. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 3A.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, roll call. Oh,
Sorry.
thanks.
Yes.
Roll call. Thanks.
Almelman,
Yes.
Flanagan, Griffith,
Yes.
Estero,
Yes.
McDougal.
Aye.
Reeds,
Yes.
Grant, yes, Thompson,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Did I miss anyone?
All right, I'm sorry, motion carries, and we will move on now to our combined items, 2A and 3B. I'll turn it over to you, Julie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I'll start with the proposed route changes, and then jump into budget and open up the discussion because I know there's quite a bit of interest. What we're doing with the suggested route changes is in your attachment, or I'm sorry, it's attachment 3B in your packet. And we have already published to the public information that is exactly what you see here. And we are holding an open house. So on August 25th at the GTC. So people can come in and give comments in person. We've put comment cards in the GTC on the buses. They can do it online through our website. We're trying to give them all opportunities to provide input. We have received some input. I looked at it last night before I left. And in addition to that, we sent a mailing out to all of our registered paratransit clients. And that included the public hearing notice, as well as a letter explaining to them the proposed changes to their service, which one of them would be to eliminate Sunday paratransit service and the cash fare increase as well. So I will start with the Fargo fixed route system. And our intention when we bring it to City Commission on September 2nd for the actual public hearings is to go through each of these and ask for a motion from the commission on each change. So you're not tasked with all or nothing. I think it would work out better. And I did check with Kember and she said that that would be fine to do that. So it will be the transit show on September 2nd. So Route 13, and what I'd like to point out too in your packet you'll see maps like this for each of the proposed route changes. So those are in your packet. If you want to look at the map itself, and thank you, Luke, for doing a wonderful job, you and Taryn putting all this together. I think this visual really will assist folks in understanding what we're looking at. So with Route 13, which travels from the GTC, it goes north up to 32nd Avenue and travels back down and loops into NDSU at the transit hub and heads back downtown. Excuse me. What the proposal for that route is we would change what we call the frequency. So currently we have half-hour frequency on that route. We would go to, as you can see in the proposal here, it would only depart the GTC at quarter after the hour. It currently departs at quarter after and 45 minutes too. And we would do that between the hours of 6:15 a.m. to 5:45 p.m. Monday through Friday. So what you also see on the map is, and that this is just simply pulling back one of the buses that's on the route. The route would remain the same. The transit development plan has another proposed realignment. We won't go over that right now. That will be a couple months down the road, but right now that's what we're proposing here for Route 13. So that's only a frequency change for those purposes. Route 14, same thing. It's a proposed frequency change where we would have fewer buses on that particular route. That route travels from downtown and goes along University, goes down to 32nd Avenue, serves Essentia, goes in apartments along there, anything on 32nd Avenue, and then travels north up into West Acres. So that would remove, our proposal is to remove one of the buses that provides that service, and no other proposed changes for that. Well, I take that back. We're looping over to pick up Elliott Place on our realignment that we're proposing. There's no budget impact other than changing the frequency. Route 15 travels from downtown, goes down, travels along 13th Avenue, goes out to Walmart, goes West Acres, Walmart, and then travels back on the same route that it came out on, except for the one-way pairs, 10th and University. So what we've done is in the spring, we started going from a 60-minute route to a 90-minute route. We were having terrible on-time performance on that route. There were very few drivers that could keep that route on time. There's just a lot going on, and it is the gold star route of the system. It's always busy. So we tried for a few months to see if it was successful. Matt Panatti is here, our GM from Transdev. He can speak to the driver's reactions. It has improved tremendously to do that. So we would like to make that a permanent route change, that we would stick with a 90-minute route instead of a 60-minute route. Route 16, which travels from downtown, goes over along 4th Street as it exits, goes down to 13th Avenue, and then makes its way down to South University, the Dakota Clinic and Sanford Clinic that are down there on 17th Avenue South, travels along 17th Avenue South, serves Cashwise, goes out to West Acres, and comes back that way. We are proposing eliminating that route completely. We do have Route 14 traveling that same 4th Street path. So the 14, we would not change that as far as the path it takes. Route 16 was utilized mostly by folks at the Fargo high rise before it was torn down. And Cole met with the head of Fargo Public Housing, discussed this route proposal elimination because we know they are building low-income housing there again. He was fine with the elimination of Route 16 because we would still continue to serve that area with Route 14 for that purpose. most folks rode it from there to go to Cashwise to do their shopping and coming back, or took it all the way through to West Acres. So that is one change we're proposing, is to completely eliminate Route 16. Route 18, that's our long meandering route. Pardon me, too much talking. Travels from downtown, goes out and serves, currently it serves the loop that if you are heading over, you go along 9th Street South, serves that neighborhood, goes over to Southeast Human Services, travels there and goes down on goes south on 25th Street and wanders down to 52nd Avenue South Walmart. So it is a long route, and what we're proposing on that route is we would reduce it from a 90-minute route to a 60-minute route. We would end the route at Essentia, which is on 32nd Avenue, and not travel all the way through to 52nd Avenue Walmart. Part of our logic there is it's not a very well utilized section of the route. There's very few ridership numbers down there. And we already serve 2 of 3 existing Walmarts. So we serve 13th Avenue. We would continue to serve the one in Dilworth, which is, I think, one of the most popular ones. So pull that route back up to 32nd Avenue South. And then we would do a little bit of realignment. We want to make sure we catch the Cass County Jail and the surrounding areas that are up there. I know parole and probation is up in that area, and there is I think it's the Somali Business Center that we would continue to serve. The next change is Route 20. That particular route also serves mostly West Fargo, and our proposal is that we would go from a 60-minute route to a 30-minute route. So that would be improved service. And we would only travel as far as 42nd Street, as far east as 42nd Street. So West Fargo would get a bit of a realignment, better service for them. And we would 20 currently serves the Cass County Jail. We would pull that back because it would be served by the Route 18 adjustment. The West Acres Transit Hub is currently used by us. We pay a rental fee there, lease fee. We pay for full-time security services out there. And one of the discussions and proposals is that we would migrate to using Walmart as the main transfer hub and not West Acres. Considerations for that are cost related, of course, but also the realignment to the routes that currently go into West Acres. We would now hub out of Walmart. We have a large shelter in that area on city right away. It's easy access in, easy access out. It's easy for the drivers to use that particular spot to utilize the restroom. So we're trying to think through all of that. We think alignment wise for routes, when it takes up to 10 minutes of time just to work our way through the parking lot. We're on the south side out there if you haven't been out there. It's a good 10 minutes, and depending on traffic and holidays and such, it's difficult to get in there. And it seems like a lot of time dedicated to just getting in and out of the area. So that's one proposal there. We are proposing the industrial park on demand service, which was a pilot project that we started back in, help me out guys, 2019. Thank you. And it was well utilized for a period of time. COVID hit, usage fell off, and we just have not rebounded on usage on that route. It's an expensive service to provide, and we're proposing we eliminate that. And then the final change would be the paratransit service, like I mentioned. Sunday service currently is out there. We have 2 vehicles that operate. And the way that the federal guidelines are, we are not required, never have been required to provide paratransit service on Sundays because we do not run fixed route. So it was a decision way before my time on the West Fargo side. In 2015, Moorhead and Dilworth joined in as to have their folks ride. We ran ridership reports and we've analyzed what the usage is. On the Minnesota side, we generally see 2, maybe 3 people over the course of the last 3 months that have ridden on Sunday. And on the Fargo/West Fargo side, we see 10 to 11 people that ride, and they usually are using a round trip. It is an expensive service to provide, heavily subsidized. And there are other options, other opportunities for folks that can utilize the system that Sean has done a really nice job identifying in our FM ride source. So other than me continuing to talk, I'll open up to any questions for any of the proposed route adjustments that you may have.
Julie, I'll start. 13 and 14 are 2 of our most, they're the second and third highest ridership. What's the rationale for cutting them back?
There are some budget constraints that come into play there. So that's the reasoning. We were trying to come up with, in response to what the city commission was requesting.
Fargo City Commission.
Fargo City Commission, yes, that we needed to scale back costs, and that was frequency on those routes was one of the proposed changes.
So we'll lose ridership, we'll lose revenue. That potentially could, what impact that might have on our federal funding?
That has all been figured into the calculations, and we can pull in the budget talk. We can go over those numbers.
But the reason for it had nothing to do with the operations of MATBUS. But it was related to the challenges that one of the partners is facing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So when we did the analysis and we looked at ridership impacts and revenue impacts, we took into account what fares so we have a percentage of riders that hopefully will transition over to picking the route up at the times we're going by instead of just knowing it's coming by every half hour. They would have to plan out and that it's coming by once an hour. So we took into account what fares possibly would be decreased by that, how that would impact our federal funding, and any operational costs that come into it, fuel, anything along those lines, maintenance costs, was all brought into the formula and figured in there. So
As a college professor, I can tell you the one that travels to NDSU, if you make it more challenging for the students, they probably are not going to be able to time that out well.
Well, and the routes that are not shown here, but are part of our system that do serve in and around the NDSU campus, those routes, NDSU have cut back on service over there as well, but they are still served over in that area with those routes.
Other questions?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. And I appreciate you putting together all this. I know this isn't an easy task by any means. Will you review with me, just more my ignorance probably on it, just the level of outreach that is done for this? Because I know a lot of people impacted. There's going to be a public hearing on it. Well, they probably can't get to the public hearing because, and I know, so just how does MATBUS get out the word about this and to collect comments and all of that? I have somewhat of an idea, but I think it's good just to refresh for everyone.
Thank you. What we did was we pulled together the public hearing notice. So you see that it is a lot of information, but we've got this posted in our facility. We have it posted on all of our vehicles. We have it on our website. We've got our social media, and someone who's better at that than me can explain that. We sent out notices through several means as far as social media goes. And then we also have comment cards available in the buses on our website and at the GTC. We're doing that open house on August 25th, where we will have staff down there in person if folks want to come in person and talk about anything. My phone number as well as the main administration phone number is listed, and I have been getting some calls, and our administration office has been getting them, and we're gathering all the comments and making sure that they're available to the city commissioners. So doing all of that, we sent it out Monday. Was it Monday? Yeah, thank you. And the hearing is on September 2nd. So our hope is that we're giving folks enough time to see what's going on, ask us any questions, and then provide input that way. So.
Well, thank you for covering that.
Of course, no problem.
And I'll just add that as well. Yeah, supervisors and managers releasing buses on MP right now. And when passengers ask, how do I input in, our supervisor and managers are also saying, you can go to this booth and put in a comment card as well.
Oh, good, thank you.
Good.
Yeah. And just, we're having part of our bus deck overlaid, a maintenance thing, just common. So our buses are right now out on NPM, which is
Right.
interesting to say the least. But people still have access to the building, so.
Other questions? Jenica?
I think it's probably more the numbers side of what these impacts mean for the system overall. So.
I'm just thinking of the same thing. Sure. It's a fantastic deck. I love the visual. It's been very good. I think it's missing the financial component. I think that's going to have to be part of the conversation, whether people like it or not. So
yeah,
what's the impact of this?
Bring that.
However, that gets complicated when you look at what's the cost of like removing the buses, but then what's the trickle down effect to all the partners? And I'm not exactly sure how you portray that in each slide. So.
And what we did is put together what's coming to the city commission is going to have the numbers identified.
Fargo City.
I'm sorry, yes, Fargo City Commission. Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll have the numbers, the dollars that are impacting. And then we did bring our budget cost allocation plan, and we can demonstrate where those impacts are going to go and how they shake out as far as what the costs are. So if we want to jump into that, which I think is important to tie into this discussion, we'll have Adam pull up the spreadsheet. It's a lot of numbers. So I was a little nervous. I do have hard copies, a little nervous to pass them out and have everybody overwhelmed and deer in the headlights when they're looking at these numbers. So
The
jumping call. Thank you.
version of the spreadsheet that I have up here is our full budget without any of the proposed reductions. All expenses were talked about within the transit department at the beginning of the budgetary process to see exactly like outside of, any sort of ridership or route related costs, snow removal, shelter cleaning, that sort of stuff. That was all evaluated and adjusted for the coming year. So again, this is assuming if all routes and service changes are kept as they are today. So
Just a quick question. Can you please just go, what was the total budget?
Just under 16 million.
Was it that 15.9?
Yeah. Go back up, Cole, to the bottom of the expenses. Over left, there you go, that 15,979.
You're right. We put it in that contract. My numbers were 15.6. So just out of curiosity, I mean, that was kind of the last thing Moorhead saw. Where that bridge is to even get us to the 15, kind of before we even take the thumbs up.
So cost allocation spreadsheet that was submitted to MinDOT included the Route 16 elimination, industrial park on-demand elimination, and the Sunday paratransit elimination. Those were the three cost saving proposals that we had brought to the City of Fargo administration initially as kind of the lower hanging fruit of sorts. We can also provide that to you guys as well. We just added in those changes to see kind of a full picture if we didn't do any sort of reductions.
We have that one also.
Not here today, no.
So this is full expenses for the entire system, all services prior to revenues being applied.
Okay,
That's that
And
number.
prior to making it.
Route changes.
Yes, correct.
okay.
That's correct. Well, I take that back. I think 16 industrial.
No, this is none of
This is
those.
literally everything, no changes.
But
Okay.
what was submitted to MinDOT.
Which ones were that?
Um,
Industrial park?
Yeah, industrial park, Route 16, and Sunday paratransit elimination.
Do we have a side by side or anything that can compare this to this is what you're proposing for 26? Do we
Yeah,
have the comparison to what we are currently at?
yeah. So I just wanted to go through some of the totals here on this spreadsheet quick. So we're looking at about $16 million before any revenues. And then also a breakdown for each individual agency. So after revenues, we're looking at just over $5 million for Fargo, 4.26 for Moorhead, about $445,000 for West Fargo, and about $805,000 for NDSU. Coming to a total of about $10.5 million after all revenue that the transit department receives. So then if we want to take a look.
Could you just tell me those, just tell me the Fargo and Moorhead ones.
I wrote it.
Okay.
That's not
For expenses.
correct. That's expenses after revenues have been.
So that'd be the city's share, what the city is having to subsidize transit at.
Yeah.
The Moorhead piece is a little different because that's what we would submit to MinDOT and then they would fund their percentage of that. So.
That is everything before any of the proposed changes. And then we also have a spreadsheet here that is post everything that's been submitted to you guys today.
So this is much closer to a 50-50 share of expenses than we were in the past.
It's close, yeah. Yeah.
Whereas I think. That's it, yeah.
So in total, before any revenue is applied, the system overall has about $14.6 million of expenses. It is how the expenses are split that changes. Because the majority of changes affect the City of Fargo's routes. It decreases City of Fargo's budget to approximately $3.3 million. Moorhead's costs go up to approximately $4.3 million. West Fargo's are up slightly to $461,000. And NDSU's are down to $756,000. Which in total is a budget of approximately 8.8 million after revenues.
I know we'll get into this in more detail, but even though you're cutting Fargo routes, Moorhead riders are on those routes. And so, first of all, they're also detrimentally impacted by it, but it sounds like Fargo's taking all this cost saving and we're paying for it.
Overall, we do have an amount of fixed costs that will stay the same regardless of who provides the service in terms of like managerial costs, snow removal, that sort of thing. So a lot of it is redistributed through this cost allocation formula based on who has the highest percentage of service, with the assumption that we'll also be spending additional staff and management time on whichever, service is out there and has a higher percentage of the service.
But when we're looking at service, are you looking at riders and where they originated, or are you looking at where the route is? So if we're saying what should be allocated to Fargo, what should be allocated to Moorhead, is it based on the riders and their revenue? And this is more of looking at the cost allocation model. Because even if you cut a Fargo route, if that was, say, every person that rode on that was from Moorhead, okay, then that cost saving should actually go to Moorhead, not to Fargo, correct? Even though it was a Fargo route?
That is not the case with the way that it's set up currently.
Mhm.
Any route that is within the city is funded by the city, regardless of which city's residents utilize it the most. So ultimately, with any of the city of Fargo route reductions that we're looking to impact, the system overall as minimally as possible. Looking at lower ridership routes, ways that we can adjust existing routes to be able to cover some of those areas that were no longer covered by, say, like the elimination of Route 16, adjusting Route 15 to be able to serve Cashflies, which was a pretty major destination in that route. And then going back to the points of Route 13 and 14, looking at reducing frequency on those routes as opposed to looking for cost savings in other routes where we would eliminate the route entirely. So we're looking to try to maintain as wide of a reach across the community as possible. It just won't be quite as frequent. It's kind of the thought that we were taking on that.
But just let me know if I'm correct on it. So again, the reason for the cuts are for needs that are external to MATBUS. It was because of some of the financial difficulties that Fargo is currently experiencing. All of us will be impacted by it. And not only that, so we are being asked to pay a higher share for lower quality service.
Yeah.
So that is what it boils down to.
The way the spreadsheet's set up, that's how it should work, because now you have Moorhead would have a higher percentage of the revenue hours in the entire system. So the way the spreadsheet's working like it was set up to work. And yes, you're correct. I mean, because Moorhead now has a higher percentage of the service, they pay a higher percentage of the cost.
Okay. And the decisions that were made to get here, what involvement what did we have from the partners, or was it more unilaterally between MATBUS staff and the city of Fargo?
I think there were discussions all along with Moorhead on, I know Megan was on several conversations, but that I don't know, did you have any discussions beyond what we discussed and proposed?
No.
This is the first I've seen of these route changes.
And until you called me on Friday, I didn't know you hadn't been involved. So I'm sorry, we have a joint accountant. So I guess I assume that those conversations are being held.
And I had asked repeatedly for that information.
Okay. I'm just speaking as a Fargo, or speaking not as the chair, but as a Moorhead elected official. This is really troubling when I see that it looks like the allocation for the city of Fargo is reduced by $2 million, roughly $2 million. That's a huge percentage. And we have talked about this repeatedly of the detrimental impact that would have on our transit. And to not be included in that discussion and to have it put in front of us, and initially not even being considered that we would have a vote on it before it went to the Fargo City Commission, is really troubling. This is meant to be a partnership. I honestly, I'm a little speechless. I'll open it up for other comments.
This is a good word.
Yeah.
Are you speechless because you weren't included, or are you speechless because of the results?
I don't know where to begin.
Curious.
Yes, to unilaterally decide on things that are harmful to the partners that are, again, we have entered into a partnership. That should be something where there is participation from the different entities in that discussion. And again, it's not that we are not sympathetic to the challenges. We've, again, every city we've faced some difficulties. We are sympathetic to that. But my first priority is to the citizens of Moorhead, and I can't in good conscience support something that, first of all, that we had no inclusion in that process, very little. And then, again, you're asking us to help you with your financial crisis at the detriment of the people of my city.
Just like what that level of service cut is, like, so I kind of did that analysis on the revenue miles. It looked like it's about 20% to me. Is that kind of what you're thinking? 20% service cut?
Yeah.
And I think that helps illustrate like the magnitude of it, right? Like there's the number piece, but then when you start looking, that's a 20% service cut for you guys were the largest operators.
And is that primarily 13 and 14?
13, 14 add up to be about $660,000 of the cut, the total cut.
But as we went through all of the different routes, one of them said, this is redundant. One of them said,
16.
yes. So I think the primary issues are 13 and 14. And that was that.
I think
kind of
that's significant.
last
impact.
resort.
Last resort.
However,
Yes.
there are other opportunities. I mean, there's other operational costs we as an entity could look at on how we could be a little more efficient. I mean, one of the things that we've talked about is, we're bringing over all these drivers and several layers of management. And is that the most efficient thing to do from the get-go? Or can we look at having a little leaner middle management and add those as we see if we need it?
That has not been at all discussed here. So again, I can just say when we have had, one of the questions that I've had was my concern that now that we've agreed that we were bringing all the drivers over, will that mean that, again, as a cost saving measure for the city of Fargo, that they will cut the number without consideration of so we have not been a part of that discussion.
I think the discussions we took to commission and council, what number of drivers we proposed we need for existing service at that time. Same with managers. And we've held firm on, we need the managers. But if some of these service cuts go through, the number of drivers would need to be adjusted. But the management staff, we feel strongly needs to stay with what we proposed originally.
But I think we could, and I think we've always been clear here that you should always be looking for cost saving measures. Yes. We want to make sure that we're using citizens' resources in the most efficient way. That's different than what we're talking about here, which is a drastic cut in 1 year to the budget that is detrimental to all.
Madam Chair, I think that it'd really be important for this committee to communicate that clearly, if that's what the view is. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be that view, but I think that view needs to be communicated clearly from this combined group so that Fargo gets that message clearly. And I know there's representatives here at the table, but that's not, okay. The other thought that occurs to me is let's immediately convene the teams and roll up our sleeves and talk through these things a little more than just having it shown up today. And if we need to, we'll convene this committee. If that, but I think transparency and communication is critical. I'm hearing from you that you want more, you need it right now.
I needed it months ago.
You did.
Commissioner, I said exactly what I just said in this room in previous meetings, and you are the representative to the commission. I have said exactly this. I've raised my concerns about the $2 million cut that Fargo was proposing and then said that this should be a discussion at a higher level. I don't know how to convey it more clearly. We have said that, and then what we got in front of us was no details and a proposed $2 million cut that was a unilateral decision from the city of Fargo.
Recommendation.
Recommendation, apologies.
So we need to work on that. We get to,
We have time. I mean,
we do, but
But in the
we,
meantime, we do not have to support a budget that we did not have a part in. What are the implications because again, in our agreement, I believe you need approval of the budget from this committee before it goes to the city commission. But you already have it on your agenda for less than 2 weeks from now.
we have till October though,
Isn't your
for
final
finalizing.
budget at the end of September?
Well, we have time to formalize it and finalize it by early October with the county.
are you planning to take action now in 2 weeks on these reductions?
That's
After the public
September 2nd,
hearing?
yeah.
Do we need to, or can the public hearing just happen and then the formal vote on that can come later?
Well, okay, so we were planning on bringing the cash fair discussion forward that we had here and recommend that the cash fares increase. And then we were going to bring these as action items if, due to the budget discussions, if we bring them as informational items, how will that impact any discussions going forward for budget? Because I know you guys are on a timeline as well.
I think it's safe to say that our commission doesn't know this information. We just have a balcony view that something's happening, Madam Chair. So it's really important we really step up our also, and I know there's timelines issues, but we get to communicate clearly. And the position of this board will have an impact on Fargo's approach.
Are there two commissioners on this?
Yeah, does Commissioner Colback? I think she's the other one.
Okay.
We should make sure she gets the notices and stuff.
And last month, we had no representation from the city of
I
Fargo.
was at a national meeting, yeah. What would you recommend?
I would, in terms of the budget, I would recommend that we do not approve the budget as proposed at this time.
What are the next steps though? I mean, clearly we need to keep the budget moving forward. So do you like staff to get together? Would you like commission involvement, board involvement?
I'm looking over here.
No, I think we do need to talk, communicate, and be able to view this allocation problem, what the impact to the changes are.
And before Fargo votes, we need to know that also very clearly. You're our partner. Trust me, these folks at the table here didn't want to have this happen. They're stuck with their reality that they've been told to try to achieve. But if it's achievable or not, and you're our partner.
Thank
Those
you.
are our partners.
Well, I think there are some things that we can agree on. I mean, I think we need to talk through all the issues and figure out, we already kind of did talk through the fairs, as Julie mentioned. So do we need to reconvene this group after we've had time to go through all of the items and talk through the implications so that you can feel comfortable voting on some things?
Because the fairs, we discussed that was all approved by this board, but again, like this is the route changes that are on here. First time I've seen those, just the impact to the overall budget. That's a big number.
Yeah, the fairs are a very small piece.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of unintended consequences that were not considered here that fully evaluated, especially from the other partners' points of view. So yes, we definitely need to take a look at that, and convey that message.
If I were a Moorhead representative at this table and I were facing this, I would be in the exact same shoes you're in. And I would have a difficult time of putting my stamp of approval on a budget that I didn't endorse.
Thank
You
you.
hear me?
Yes, I do. Appreciate that.
You know, but that's a message from your contingency to this, your constituency, to this group. That's why you're here. You know, and we have our side too, but they're gonna get messaging too, and it's important to hear very clearly. Julie and our team will need to know that, no, you don't have the support of the match system leadership at where it's at right now. It's untenable. I mean, that's what I think you're saying.
I think it is, yeah.
And it is, if that's the view, that's the view. Then we get to go back and work on our formula, given that our partners need us to step up more. And then see what Fargo can do. And I'm not saying this is our reality for the moment. We're at an impasse, sort of.
But I think we need to know what we agree on already and what we don't.
Yes.
What are the challenges so we can plug away on those.
So my suggestion would be immediately start convening the financial department teams and the critical components as a subcommittee, just to work through this. So you're all, there's no sense of not being on the same page informationally. If we have to, we would convene this committee immediately. I'd prefer we have a consensus before it goes to the city.
So for the second.
Yeah, if that's when it's going there.
That's when it's going.
Well, if it's critical to postpone it 2 weeks,
Somebody has a budget hearing, it might not be.
that's what,
Might not be a
right.
19th is at our hearing.
The 16th. Or the 15th hearing. The city of Fargo budget hearing.
That's a route changes.
Public comment on the budget.
That does have all hearings September 2nd. Or that's being voted on.
Well, I think originally the public hearing for transit and the vote for transit was scheduled for the Tuesday, the 2nd. But the public hearing on the city of Fargo budget was the 15th.
And the approval is the 29th, correct?
I would think we need to postpone both.
Well, you can hold the public hearing. Because really the point of a public hearing is to gather input. It doesn't drive a need for, in fact, it's one of the public's typical criticisms of public hearings is that you have a public hearing and then immediately after you take action, which typically happens because by and large, most public hearings, the public comes disguised as chairs. So, you know, that's kind of the way it works. But, you know, in this case, that's a procedural step that I don't see any problem with taking. It allows you to put all of these changes on the floor for consideration. Doesn't mean you have to do any of them. But you inform the public that these things might happen. So, you know, you can, I don't think you need to postpone the public hearing, but certainly, you know, from as a partner, you know, from our point of view, please don't take any action. That seems premature.
That would be helpful in informing this group too, to hear the public hearing comments.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
In terms of our action, does it make sense then that, again, if we had a motion that we do not pass either the proposed budget or route changes at that time, pending further discussion? Yes.
So who are the people that we should be talking to more?
Well, I think, I would think it has to be the finance director, finance staff, okay? Yes.
And I should.
And
Well, again, I think at the leader and the administrative level, they need to be communicating more about this. And I know we've talked about that before, is that this is not just about the staff, but this is also just, again, more broadly looking at the partnership. And so, I mean, I would also invite our other partners to be part of that discussion too. So,
I
Mhm.
was thinking like West Fargo too, I don't know how much involvement they've been in here, but they do play a key role if they take another route. I know their budget's in kind of limbo question marks, and that would significantly impact everybody else's numbers, so I think we need to get West Fargo involved.
Yeah, and they've told us no on additional routes for 2026
Oh, you did
already.
get it?
Yeah, yes, we have had discussion with them. We had multiple meetings with them. And Dustin gave us a firm,
Okay.
no, it's not gonna be in the budget for 26. So
Yeah, and I understand this is new and we're gonna have those bumps in the road because we're redeveloping this new way of partnering. But I think spelling out more clearly the process of how these, how we will put together a budget every year, how some of these things will be worked on ahead of time before they come before this body. I think that would be helpful. And that is more of perhaps a continuing discussion so that we don't end up in the same position next
I
year.
think it would be helpful to set up a calendar.
Mhm.
Sure.
So in terms of action, again, I won't propose a motion, but I would entertain that as a motion if anyone wanted to move that we vote to not support either the proposed budget or the proposed route changes at this time pending further evaluation and discussion.
I'll make that one.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I just have one more thing, that's also for an analysis on what that federal impact would be, right? If we do a 20% service cut, I mean, we know our federal dollars will go down.
yeah, we actually did, we kind of figured out those numbers. We kind of figured it's hard.
I know.
It's hard to figure out as you're well aware. So what we tried to do was kind of a subsidy per rider that we kind of see right now, kind of take what we get times the ridership. If we see a drop in ridership, kind of what those dollars are. I don't think, were they in the slides originally? Or we had it at one point. We can,
About $2.16 per rider. So
Yeah.
we assume however many riders we're gonna be losing through whatever changes, then that's kind of where we're going to estimate the decrease in federal revenue.
we can put that together. So we have an idea. Yep, absolutely.
One thing I'd like to really clarify is that the folks at this table that are here have not like yielded and thrown anybody under the bus. They have not given in to the expectations of the service levels we're accustomed to. They're very, very, very much involved with this. And my sense is that this will bolster what they've been telling those of us who are around them.
Mhm.
That's my sense,
Mhm.
Madam Chair, is that this isn't a surprise to Julie or our team
Mhm.
at all. They know fully well, but they're kind of hitting a wall.
Mhm.
That wall, though, isn't you, it's on our side. And so I think it's appropriate to have that man, and Susan gets to work with our administration and try to find this balance.
Mhm.
So I think our administrations need to be critically involved, however you involve administration or whatever. I don't know that we need to go up the political flagpole or not with mayors and stuff, but we need to get on the same page.
Mhm.
And we need to give them a message that they can say represents our team, our table. At the moment, we all know it doesn't,
Mhm.
I think.
Mhm. Yes.
I think they'd
That's
agree.
fair. That's fair.
I think that's a good plan going forward. I was going to mention too, just even something that shows the other cost saving measures that we've already agreed upon for this year. So again, we're looking at the rate hike, the money that will be saved from the driver transfer, anything like that, just so that, because ideally, again, looking at something that is more incremental, like we've made several cost savings measures. Where are we at so far for this year? What else might be done, but what else, if we need to look in the future rather than something that is quite so drastic.
Another thought is just sharing, and we need to be transparent. It really kind of landed about late July that this number hit the department.
Mhm.
What the threshold that they're aiming for is.
I would disagree. We've been
July
talking about
25th, I
this.
thought, maybe not, but was
We've
it?
been talking about this number for a long time.
Okay.
So we've been working.
The
on it.
2 million I know came up several months ago.
And the issue is how much does the city transfer over to the mass transit? And that's the bottom line
Mhm.
from the city's perspective is what's their transfer? I think it's set at minimum, 3.5 million now.
Mhm.
That's just the reality they're facing.
Yeah.
Um,
Remind you, we do have a motion before the body. Is there any further discussion? And I know we will need roll call. Yes.
Madam Chair. And I know we've covered it all, but as part of the motion, does there need to be some kind of a directive in there that, I know it'll be part of the record, but maybe it's part of the motion that there will be a working group comprised of partnering agencies to continue to review this. So whether you reject it or just table the discussion overall, because it's still kind of having the same impact. You're good.
Alarm went off. I think that's a great idea. Would that be accepted as a friendly amendment?
Yeah, I'd be happy to add that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Adam, did you get that? Okay.
Susan, how will this impact your department's approach? The curveball, probably.
It is. I mean, if this doesn't get decided till pretty late and all of a sudden we need to be funding some money, that's not a good thing for the finance team. I think we need to look at a calendar. So, I think this group's next meeting regularly scheduled would be a little late. But if we want to perhaps move it up in September, maybe right after the hearing, gives finance some time to talk through different options. How I would perceive this as kind of come back with the different options and you know, the costs associated with that, the raw costs, and then how the allocated costs shake out. Perhaps we as a finance team could come up with a consensus suggestion, so that, you know, you have something to go on when we get here, but then we can talk through that and also incorporate some of the comments that came in. But if we could do that early in September, prior to budget public comment, like we said, our budget does not get approved until September 29th, but if in fact we have to come up with more money, I'll need some money to find where that could be. So maybe the week of the 8th.
If we work on just planning that now, I think it'd probably be
I
easier
think
for
that would be
people.
good.
For a normal time.
Like, so Wednesday, the 10th, that.
And you meet with transit.
September 10th, is it September 10th at 9 a.m.? Oh, you got
This
people
is
in
like the
there.
finance.
Is this the
small
finance?
group.
No, I'm thinking this is this group.
Oh,
That would be a
We
curve
start
before
working
then.
sooner.
We need to start.
Is that enough time?
Well, my only thought is, so like, let's say Fargo, I mean, if you guys are at that 3.5 million, is kind of like where you're like, hey, this is where we need to be. You know, ultimately Moorhead would need to make a decision because we ultimately could have to cut service, right, to get our budget down, which then would rise Fargo's costs. And I think that's why we kind of talked about the need to kind of communicate those numbers far in advance of this, because it is it's a shuffle, right? And so I think, you know, the 10th is important, and I think as a group, our Moorhead team, I mean, I think we could make that commitment and we could try, but there is that discussion. If that 3.5 is the sticking point, then Moorhead needs to evaluate how much funding we have. No,
And there wasn't like a review of Moorhead routes while you guys were looking at this stuff. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, this was just solely focused on Fargo routes, correct?
Because I think what you're saying is if we were to keep the same ratio that we had in the previous year in terms of the allocation formula, that would require us making more cuts, which is not what we want to do, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and then it would increase Fargo's budget,
So
so they'd be
then-
back at having to cut more.
Yes.
It's just a back and forth, back. and forth.
Downward spiral.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll have some
Mhm.
wagon.
But it's right, but as unpleasant as it sounds, Susan, it sounds like I hear you saying that what I heard you say is if you needed to find that 3.5 is not a hard and
No,
fast.
that's not my call.
No.
It's the commission's.
Yes,
this point.
absolutely.
To
But just in terms of parameters,
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Susan, that's where we're at, right? Like the budget team has presented their budget to the commission and it's now kind of in commission's hands to decide what else to cut and what else to fund.
Budget,
Yeah.
There'll be some discussions and we have public comment, so.
Right.
We've established our preliminary budget, which is this.
cap.
Which does not affirm the line items in that.
Right, we can still move, right, exactly.
So that's where that work is potentially, if anything, it's in what makes up that budget total, which is established.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like
So-
10th is too early to meet for this group.
Oh,
When were you saying, Susan?
I was asking Megan if she thinks the 10th is too early.
Yeah, I mean, if like if we can get the data like as soon as possible,
Yeah.
because yeah, I would like to spend some time kind of looking that over and then as we kind of meet, and then there's getting partners involved, right? Like it's even beyond this working group, right? There's our metro and state partners.
so if we're still doing the informational hearing on the 2nd,
Mhm.
do we want the group to meet prior to that, or are
The
they?
working group, not the.
The
I
working group?
think the working group starts
Immediately.
tomorrow.
Immediately, yeah.
Immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it'd be good to, after the public hearing, so that we can incorporate any public comments that we did receive into the discussion.
Mhm.
All right, so what works on people's calendars?
So that's the smaller group, right?
Right.
Not everybody.
Yeah.
Correct, yes.
Do you want to
We
work
can-
on that separately?
we can touch base.
Yes, okay, but we're tentatively, we have on our calendar to add a meeting of this committee on the
Yeah.
10th at 9 AM, and that would be a 9 to 10:30 AM public meeting. And the working group will do everything they can before then. Okay. We still have a motion that we have not voted on, so I'm going to put back to that. Okay, so is there any further discussion of the motion?
State the motion again, Madam Chair, just,
I'll turn that over to Adam.
it's to
Yeah.
turn down the budget recommendation as it stands and to forming, working groups.
Yes. Yes, that is. Mhm. Is there any further discussion?
See that.
Okay, and this will require a roll call vote, so Adam?
Yes. Alderman,
Yes.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Astera,
Yes.
McDougal,
Yes.
Reeds,
Yes.
Strand, yes, Thompson,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
did I miss anyone?
Okay, motion, yes, motion carries. We just, again, a few folks want to meet to plan your meeting afterwards, but let's just, since we're over time, quickly finishing up the agenda because we do have under other business, we wanted to have a TPP or a TDP, Trend Development Plan update. Julie, can I turn that over to you?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The Transit Development Plan, which is the 5-year plan, that the consultants, Bolton Mank, have been working on with MetroCog and our team. They are wrapping up that study. They've got the draft ready to go. We had a discussion with them yesterday. And we'd like to bring that forward at the September meeting with this group so they can do a presentation and we get that adopted. And then MetroCog needs to have resolutions of support from Hornhead, Dilworth, Fargo, and West Fargo. So the plan is to make presentations to each of those groups and get those resolutions brought forward.
Okay. And clarify, that'd be the regular September 17th
Correct.
MATBUS meeting.
Yes. Did I miss anything, Adam?
I'll just add that there's a virtual open house next week now, August 27th from 11 to 1 PM with a presentation at 11:30. It's meant to be virtual, but if people want to come in person, we will have space here, a couple of MetroCog. So you can come. But you should have I think information would have gone out on Monday. Should have, everybody on the board should have received that. About the draft TDP and the open house.
Are there any other items to come before the commission? Maybe. Hearing none, we are adjourned and we will meet again on September 10th.